And we're back working on the car. Been doing some more stuff on the inside. Just give you a look here. The rear subwoofer has a box that covers it, and it's made for the R35, which has a higher parcel shelf. So I've had to modify it. It's drying right now. I had to take out almost 1 3/4 inches out of the height. I'll show you that here. So take out 1 3/4 inches there. I've got it gluing back together. And then these clips that clip into the factory R35 aluminum rear bulkhead won't line up with the holes now, so I had to re-drill those holes down the approximate amount. So those holes were here. That's the new one, that's the old one, that's the new one, old one, new one. So the whole thing now sits lower down and sits flush to the parcel shelf, so that's good. I've got in the front here, I got the fuse box mounted a little bit higher up but out of the way. I got the R34 kick panels trimmed up and fit on both sides, so the other one's over there. And then I got to find a place for that electronic device. Not sure what it's for, but needs to stay in the car and be plugged in, so got to find a home for it. Put the tail lights on and just running the wires and cleaning up the trunk area. I still have to cut this part out and weld in the flat plate. But the other news, and this is pretty dope, is the body kit is here. So this is a genuine Uras body kit. 170 wider in the rear, 150 in the front. I've got everything here on the ground, but I've got the front fenders fit up to the car already. I pre-assembled this car with the factory panels and got the panel gaps nice and tight. Now with the aftermarket fiberglass, things aren't always in the same place and you're never going to get the same panel gaps. Here's a quick look. As you can see, the gap at the front of the door is not favorable, but I mean, it is what it is. I can't move the fender further back because then that'll throw this alignment out. Apart from this looks pretty good. The gap here is not too bad. Headlights are on. It's all bolted up to the factory locations. So, I mean, this gap is pretty good. This front part seems to just drop in tight there, so that'll need to be fixed. But both sides are matching left to right, which is basically what we want. We want left to right to look the same. So front fenders are on. I'm going to hang the over fenders on the back and then the side skirts after that. Well, we're back at it. Shop's a little messy, so excuse the mess. Been working on the body kit. We'll just go through that now. So just currently have the Clayco clamps holding on the rear fender. Rear bumpers on. These are all bolted in to the car, bolted together, so that's solid. The side skirts are bolted up here, and then made a little bracket underneath there, and then it's just clay coat at the front. So that's the driver's side coming together. And just doing some work on the interior right now. I'll just show you that. So here's the rear speaker box, and it was sitting 1 3/4 inches higher, but I wanted it flush with the parcel shelf, so we took out the amount needed down here and glued it back together, and that fits in there perfectly now. So that's all good, and now I am focusing in on getting the dash mounted. The dash pad itself is going to get re-trimmed with new vinyl once I'm done. I've welded in this bracket here, which picks up the bottom of the dash and also the hood latch release, so that's solid and not going anywhere. And now I'm going to work on a panel to close up that area, and then with the door card on, I'm going to have to trim the door card, and that's going to have to be trimmed to match into the dash as well. So that's where I am right now, just working on the dash. All right, welcome back. Working on the usual suspect. We've got the front bumper fully mounted now, which looks pretty trick. Done some little brackets here that attach to the headlight to hold the front in place. We got a inner 2x2 rebar structure in behind, and then I made this little plate with 2 threaded holes that go into the rebar, which holds the bumper on. And then we got 2 bolts down here on each side, and that holds everything in place super tight and solid. A couple things I did have to do to fit this: the washer bottle, I had to move that over about 1 inch, so that also required moving the intercooler pipe over, so I cut that, moved that over 1 inch as well, but that worked out. And then on this side I made just some little relocation brackets for the oil cooler, because I had to move the oil cooler over also, and then do a little bit of trimming here on the bumper just for clearance sakes. And on the back, this is basically where we are trimming the arch, and I have the driver's side arch already done. Here's the over fender mounted, and if we go inside, you can see the arch is being cut and welded and formed. I had to do slits for relieves to be able to form it over, so These little plates just hide that cut that expanded open. That'll be seam sealed, so no rot will get in there, no water. And I got to get all up in here and seam seal the inner arches, which that's going to be fun. And we got the crash sensors welded on each side. And the big news is the trunk is done. I made this panel here, did a quick little bead in there to stiffen it up so you don't get any oil canning. And then this is cool, like on this side the actual frame rails line up with each other. I slide a plate in between them and then weld all around it. This side, the driver's side, they don't quite line up as good as the other side, but again, you slide up a plate, then you weld it all the way around everywhere, and that makes a pretty solid joint anyway. Let's bring this down and you can see the trunk from the inside. Can't remember if I've showed you the dash that we've cut up to fit, but well, we'll get this down and we'll show you the trunk first. All right, there we go. Here's the trunk from inside, so all seam welded up all the way around and painted, and it's solid, ain't going nowhere. So that's it, the trunk's done. And then I don't know if I showed you these panels on the dash. If I did, I'll re-edit. So these are the side panels which are going to get covered. I had to cut quite a bit off the side of the dash in order for it to fit next to the door. So the carbon fiber inner door cards that we have, which are over here, are going to need to be cut to go around here. And then we'll do a two-piece door card, so we'll have carbon on the back and then the front part will be fabric or whatever, something nice and trimmed. So there we go, that's where we are right now. when the camera stopped, but I've been working on the back, getting the lightweight subframe in. So here's the old subframe, all stamped steel, super heavy. New one is in, full tubular Verkline. Yeah, so that was a task, but we got it in. Everything's in there. I got to do some proper brackets for the handbrake cables because I had to move the handbrake cables back so none of the brackets line up where they used to. I'm just going to zoom out. Hold on a second. All right, that's better. So I had to make a bracket for the to move the brake lines further back. So they bolt in back here now, and so that meant pulling the brake lines back from their original mount. So I've got a couple of P-clips on each side, one here and another one over here. So this bracket here used to be up here, so now it's moved back down. So I just added some zip ties there just to keep this out of the way of the drive shaft. I don't want the drive shaft hitting that, but the handbrake works, so that is good. I've got all the suspensions back together and tight, and I took photos of the alignment pieces. I took photos of these. So I just put everything back to where it was in my photos. If this was jigged up in a good jig, then everything should be pretty darn close, and alignment shouldn't be that big a deal. It's gonna go get aligned anyway, but that's all done. I was able to mount the charcoal canister. I tucked it up in this in the pocket here on the R34. So that's out of the way, and that gives me tons of space to do the exhaust. Funny enough, the R35 license plate light is exactly the same as the R34, so it just clicked into place. And this R35 one has a camera on it, so the camera is perfectly in position. Also, here is the electronic trunk release button. So I'm going to retain the R35's complete trunk release system. For now, I'm just running the cable because I got no power to the car and I need to be able to pop it open. So cable's in there for now until battery's connected and all the electrical's done, and then I will connect the latch system. Drive shafts are out getting shortened. They should be here early next week, and they can go back in, and then the exhaust can go in. So I've also did a full seam seal on the car all along here, up here in the front. All the arches are seam sealed all the way around, all up in here. So seam sealing's done, and I mean, really, next thing once I've got it on the ground with its wheels and tires is going to be paint, bodywork, and interior. So the all the welding is completed. The arches have been cut and formed and re-welded. So that gives me lots of room for wheel travel. And yeah, body is 100% welded onto the R35 chassis, so that's good. And that's where I'm going to leave it for now. See ya.